Here we go, the pregnant pause waiting for the recording message. My name is Sharon Whiteman, and I'm very excited and privileged to partner with Gary and Diana every week on this Saturday call. And today we have a wonderful special guest to join Diana and I, Rachel Davey. I'll just give you a little bit of a background of what our plans are for this morning. So this is something that's been very popular and that people, since Diana did her first one probably a couple of years ago, people have asked for it to come back again. And we've pulled it together this year. 2022 is the year. So originally spearheaded by Diana Hunter, Conversation Practice Part 1 is something that you should watch. And I've in the email and in the archive, the link to that past one is in here. And after experiencing outstanding health benefits from the Manatech products, Diana became interested in a business that could add so much value to people's lives. She has a spectacular coaching skills, and when it comes to conversation practice, she's absolutely stunning. This call is what you're looking for if you want to become the best communicator about the gifts we have to offer, whether it be wellness or lifestyle or purpose or all of the above. So today, Rachel and I are joining her, and again, this is all about you. We'll have a little bit of a preamble and a discussion, and we probably have some of our own ideas of where, what tricky situations where communicate. There you go. Communicate about. But we also require your participation. Yeah, it's a Freudian slip, isn't it? Can't say communicate when I'm talking about communication. But anyway, we do require your input this morning, and we're here to stay as long as we have things to talk about. And other than that, I'll hand over to Diana.
Thank you, Sharon. Welcome, everyone. And I'm so grateful for the panel today because I certainly don't have all the answers. And the main word I want to emphasize on this morning is practice rather than perfection. This is a practice session. It's a peer brainstorm. So we've got your panel here, myself, Sharon, and Rachel, but you are our peers. Many of you have been long-term in active in sharing the message of Manatech, and you might have ideas that we don't think of this morning. So this is a peer brainstorming session, and what we'd love to do, and this is something that we do in our weekly team meeting, is part of that session we've set aside that members of our teams, we have a cross-line friendly meeting, can bring their challenges in conversation. Like, how do I approach? I've met this person, but I'm not sure how to open the conversation. Or I'm, 3 conversations down. I've followed them up, but I'm at this point. I'm not sure what to say next or what to give them next. Or I had this objection during the week, and I wasn't really sure how to manage it. So we bring that to the brain's trust, I call it. And we bat around ideas, and more often than not, that is successful. That for that individual, take that back out into their real life situation and be successful in the next conversation. So we thought we'd bring this to this Saturday morning forum, where you can bring any of those kinds of situations or something else that you may be in the middle of in a real life situation. We don't really want you to make up questions for us. You can, if it's something that's a sticking point for you in your day-to-day experience with your Manatech business. But we want to address real life, authentic sticking points that you're coming across as you share the message of either the Manatech business or the Manatech nutritional technologies. And the other thing is we've got some great specials. We've got a few specials on, but we've got within those a couple of really excellent specials with the trio pack of the True Plenish and the 24% off of the Emprazone Duo pack. So, how are you going with having conversations about those specials? Do you need help with that? So the way we're going to do this, we've got a facility on the chat where we can hear you. So I think if you just put in the chat box that you have a scenario, and then Sharon can give you permission to speak so we can hear you. You can come on camera if you're up for it, but you don't have to. And then we can start working through any of these conversation skills that you're looking for support with. So last time we came pre-prepared. We haven't this time in terms of examples. I think most of you were on the last session. So this, we are inviting you to share, ideas of scenarios that might be either helpful for your business, your team member's business, etc. So who has a question? Who has an idea? If you can just put your hand up in the chat.
So that could be something that you've, most recently this past week or the past couple of weeks or this month, or somebody that you've been scared to reach out to and you'd like some tips on how to go about that. Jump in. We're here.
And just remember, this is a participatory call. I know we're mostly used to sitting back and listening, but this is about, building, doing the practice. It builds the confidence. And I think I mentioned last time we did a whole series of training with one of Robert Kiyosaki's leaders in his or team. And he taught us a conversation skill. And one of the things that he pointed out is it builds emotional intelligence. So, when you're in that situation where someone gives you an objection, or you can hear that there might be an opportunity to share the message of Mannatech, that you're not like they're like a goldfish with your mouth open, not sure what to say, that you've had the practice and you've got the words there. And the other person that's strong with this is Big Al Schreiter. He, says that one of the biggest things that people need is not, it's important to understand our goals and it's important to have our passion on board, but those things don't give us the confidence to open our mouth and share the message. It's the practice. Practice builds confidence. And any athlete knows they can't just go onto the footy field and play their A game unless they've done the practice. So that's what we're about. So
I can share experience I had in the last couple of weeks.
Okay.
I've got some colleagues in another area of my life that are quite medically fragile and had under a constellation of symptoms and chronic disease over years in the tick-borne disease arena, have developed an irritation and inflammation in their bowel. So this one colleague, and it was at the point where even drinking water was too much. And this particular colleague is a naturopath and is very discerning, astute, and she's kind of excuse the language, a no bullshit kind of person. She comes straight down the line. And I depend on that in her. She's very discerning, but she's not a walk in the park to share this kind of new technology with either. And so I started with her by asking, first getting her permission to share something with you. And so even though we've been, colleagues and friends for 6-7 years, I it would be open for me to talk to you about something that I think might help. And anyway, we went back and forth. And for her, she's someone who has a science background and likes to research deeply. So I offered her 2 links, which was the glycan summary, that scientific one that comes out of out of the US. I can't remember right this second what it is. And also the most recent science one with Dr. Nugent, where it's talking about the science, because that's what she likes to see. I know her well enough to know that she would need that information to make a decision. And in the end, she chose to trial Manipul I was inspiring her to understand the process of the inflammation and how that happens, and how nutritional glycans are pretty targeted towards bringing our body into balance. Trying to think compliantly here. And anyway, within two times of taking it, immediate improvement she could notice and relief in her symptoms. And she's gone on to call it my milk. It's like sort of her secret weapon, my mother's milk, and that's what she calls it now. And she's totally sold. She totally got it. So then this past week, I had another colleague the same thing happened to, and she's very tiny, has no extra resources on board, has had digestive issues through the same tick-borne disease constellation problem. And I was really worried about her because she's really medically fragile, and she couldn't even drink water without collapsing to the ground in pain. And she went to emergency. And and again, I haven't had any time to build relationship with her in regards to our technology. It's just never been up, and she's on a million things and is going to integrative doctors and naturopaths and is very, very, very medically fragile. And but so what I did in this instance, I reached out to my other colleague who'd had that same, she was not in a position to receive information. And she was not, I assessed her, she was in a crisis, serious crisis, and she couldn't go along without being able to get liquid in. And I didn't want her to end up in hospital. That's the worst place for a tick-borne disease person in Australia. So long story short, what I did is I reached out to my other colleague who'd had that experience with maybe slightly less severe, but very similar health situation. And I said, would you reach out to her? And what do you think? First, asked a question. And I said, would you be open to it? Probably better coming from you than me. And in the end, we couldn't get a hold of her because she went straight to bed. And so luckily she lives locally and I dropped it off. But I left it to my colleague to liaise with her because she was really too sick to receive any information. And she just needed someone she trusted. And she had the same experience. After the second dose, she was keeping water down and had much less pain. And she just gradually, she's still fragile, but she's going forward. And I'm again reaching out to my colleague because she actually doesn't even have time to talk to us, that she's really out of the loop. And so I reached out to my colleague and, it says, make sure, you check in on her and how much she's taking and let her know it's safe to take a bit more and she can trial it with that. So you can see it was the same situation, but on assessing their particular where they are at, I chose a different method of helping them. So I don't know if that's helpful for anyone, but that's something
Sharon.
that's happened.
Excellent. And a great example is there's two things I see in that story apart from, your skill level is one, you ask permission to share. It's that really important skill, with your permission, or would it be okay with you if I shared some information? It's a great point. And the other thing is you used a third party validation in a different way, right? So, we talked many times about using your business partner, or Sharon's used a colleague in this scenario, to back up the importance of what you have to share, in a more receivable way. So that, that's excellent. Well done.
I used Dr. Nugent as a third party in the first one. Sorry, Rachel.
Yeah,
and then my colleague in the second one. So,
absolutely.
Again, it's not about me trying to know everything. It's about getting permission and pointing them to education that I intuitively think might be the best for them. But also I always, say if this isn't the right kind of style for you, just let me know, because I have a plethora of education available. Sorry, Rachel, I cut you off there.
No, that's fine. And just what you're both sharing there, because I'm the systems girl, and that in the training systems of the success system with Manatech there's sharing solutions, and there's a 4-step structure to that. And that is, you just connect with the person that you're wanting to share with. You're just doing that catch up with them, just naturally asking about family and friends. And then what you do is you're telling your story, or a story that somebody but then you're reaching in to give a third-party resource to actually do the education for you. And then obviously the 4th step in sharing the plan or product or plan is that you follow up. So that fits what you've just described in that scenario, is that your third-party resource in the past has been Dr. Nugent video, or even a printed resource that we have, but you've gone on to actually bring a third party resource in with your friend and her testimony with products. So that's great.
Not that we cure any health information or health situations or inflammation.
Yeah.
All right, I think somebody's got their hand up there. I can't see. I've got an attendee with their hand up.
Oh yeah, Gail, I've just given you permission to talk. Do you want to try and talk? I think you're muted, actually. There you go.
I'm sorry, I actually misunderstood what it meant to put the hand up, just to say I was present.
Oh,
But
Okay.
just say that everything that you're saying is useful to me because I feel like I'm starting all over again. But asking permission and all those things and finding out information, I've got some tough people to follow up. So I need to do this carefully because I do not like to disrespect people. So thank you. Sorry, I'll back out because I don't have anything more to contribute at this
Well, no,
point.
just who are the tough people that you have to follow
yeah,
up,
give
Gail?
us a scenario, Gail.
You can take
Okay.
the details, the identifying details out, change it to, from
Well,
a girl to a boy or whatever you want to do.
okay, it's fine. It's people with multiple autoimmune conditions and have kind of twisted thinking on it and quite resistant to any change themselves. So that's one. So she's on the back burner. But the other one is the mother of a Down syndrome teenager who's actually at the end of her tether. Plus, she herself has survived cancer and is dealing with this daughter, as well as a son who is getting older and he has autism. And the mother not only had gotten over cancer, but she has multiple autoimmune disorders. So she was looking at my little smoothie booklet that I'd put together and said, oh, I remember a story about a girl called Michelle years ago, and I don't know who told her. So I promised to get back to her, but I want to really tread carefully because I think people like that are just so vulnerable. So yeah. So you can see it's just that little bit tricky. So
Is she
your
a friend or?
yes.
Okay.
She's somebody I know and work a little bit with at church.
And have you ever spoken to her before about Manatee?
No, I haven't. Somebody must have done in the past. So she brought it up and said, I don't have time to delve into all these things or the mind space. Can you find things out for me? And I'm still trying to get her on the phone or make a time to go see her so that I can reassure her that I'm basically her servant to find out what she needs. And so I'm not going to go into persuasive mode with her. I just want her to catch the possibilities for herself.
So she's already given you permission to find out some information and bring that to her or provide that?
Yes, she has. Yeah.
Okay, well, you're already at the step 2. Well, you've already obviously had an opening conversation to open the door for her to take a look or learn about more. What did you say in that opening conversation?
It was just a little bit tricky. It was at a table with other people there. And my friend who had actually put my booklet under her nose, who's not particularly into Manatech and was only visiting that day. So Michelle brought it up and just said, oh, look, I've just looked at this and see that you're in Manatech. And maybe you can find out some information for me because it's a long time since I've heard about this. So since then, I've read all the most damning material on the internet as possible and looked into the booklet and so on. And so far, I just told her that is an anecdotal story, but it's a stepping stone.
About Michelle is anecdotal.
The young Down syndrome girl.
Michelle, I think her name is.
De Saunier or something like that. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So the book is still floating around on the internet, but I don't want to just lean on the emotional response. I want this lady to weigh it up, and her husband as well. And she's not bad at doing that. I can't believe she survived to this point. So yeah. So proceeding with her is going to be
The couple things that I would say is both those stories were quite complex with multiple layers of where we would have something to offer them that would be helpful, right? But with that lady with the daughter or the son, you start where her interest is and build a relationship through that. So, again, her goal for her son, shouldn't be what they outcome, and that will need to be included in your conversation. But I would be focusing on how would it feel if we went forward and your son, John, had experienced, improvement in his well-being and in some of the symptoms that a teenager or is a young adult being introduced to PLUS, even just PLUS and Ambertose. Can you imagine that transformation? So I would be working around, and Diana and Rachel will probably add to ask questions, that this is nutrition, this, because she's already got permission, right, to talk to her.
Yeah.
Sharon's breaking up apparently.
I've just come inside because it started to break up. Yeah.
Yeah, sorry.
Okay.
Can you hear me now?
PLUS and Ambertose. What about something for the gut?
Yeah, but we don't. RGI Pro is out of balance out right now.
Yeah,
like even
it's
Mana Bears would be. How old is this young man?
We're probably close to 16, and she has an uncontrollable appetite, just grabs every food there is. So yeah, the behaviors are the biggest issue, I think, for them at the moment. So that's why I think the PLUS would be good too.
Yeah, so it's hormonal, neurological, right? Those kind of, that's where you'd be looking at to settle and just provide the body nutrition to enhance those systems. But I'll hand over to Dinah and Rachel.
Okay, thank you. Sorry to railroad this.
You're not railroading. This is helpful for
perfect,
everybody.
Gail. This is perfectly on track. Did you hear what Sharon said there? Gail?
In the beginning, no, it started breaking up. So
I mean, she was giving you a question, postulating a question like, how would it be for you if your son or daughter, whoever it is, could have improved, I can't remember the word you said, quality of life, nutrition, well-being. So that you're postulating a question for them to be open to the possibility.
Yeah.
And I can give you another thing is that I have a friend, so you can use me, who with her teens sees night and day when they're compliant on taking these nutrients. So you can use my testimony. So I have a friend I was talking to, I just heard her the other day. She's just saying, oh my God, these nutrients for her teenagers is just changes the mood of the household. That's,
so
I would use something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. And Sharon's just brought up the next perfect step, which is to tell a story.
Okay.
So you can just share that story. I've heard of many, and I know there'd be many stories in this community. Rachel might even have in some of her own family. I've heard other mothers share that when their kids are on PLUS and Ambertose, it's like night and day, the contrast of how settled
harmony,
the house size. Yeah.
Yes, and Gail, I hear your heart there in that you want to give information and not come in the fairly touchy type of thing. But there's this saying in network marketing where facts tell, stories sell, and the sales do happen. And I look, I'm the systems girl, so I'm just talking quite black and white and structured here. But in order to make a sale, you need to touch on people's emotions. And I'm not saying that that's a strategy for people, because we at Manatech are authentic people that Manatech attracts, and we're not doing that. We rather go without the sale in order to advance a family. That's who we are. So and one of the other things that stories are so powerful, not only to have your own, but as we talk and share with people in their stories, they're asking us some questions. And I know I've said these on trainings before, but someone might be sharing this story, which you've just described, those two scenarios to us. But really what we as Manatech associates need to hear is someone saying to you, Gail, could you please share your health opportunity that you know about in Manatech? That's what they actually said in both of those stories. Could you please share with me your health opportunity that you know about in Manatech? They didn't say it like that, but that's what they're actually asking you when they're telling you those powerful stories that they don't have answers to. And again, if we want to flip that question as well, is when someone's saying they can't afford their car payment this month, or they know their daughter's going off to university and they're not sure how they're going to have the money. That's the story. But what they're actually asking you is they're saying, oh, Gal, could you please share your wealth opportunity in Manatech with me? That's what they actually asked you. But they
Mm.
asked you hidden in a story. And that's why our stories are so powerful. We have to listen in a careful way to see what they're actually asking us. So these two people have said, Gail, could you please share your health opportunity in Manatech with me? But it was hidden in the story.
Thank you, Rachel. Great points. Great way of putting it. And the other thing
Awesome. Yep.
I heard there, Gail, is when you said with the lady with the Down syndrome child that you didn't want to, you know, be pushy or manipulative.
Mhm.
Remember, like, how long have you been involved with Manatech?
I'm ashamed to say, about 23, 22 years.
Okay. Well, first of all, I'd say be proud to say that.
Amen. Yeah.
No, I'm
Because
ashamed to say, and that I
if
haven't
you-
made business of it much, but
oh, that's all
yeah.
right. I mean, there's lots of be proud that you've been, well, one, be grateful that you've been a Manatech customer that long and
Taking
supported
the
your health
products.
that long.
Oh, yeah.
But also the other thing that you've got there, you must have seen incredible health benefits in people's lives and financial benefits in some people's lives. But you
Mhm.
can bring that forward as posture.
Mhm.
You can, and posture, sometimes you have to kind of choose it. You may not be feeling it, but you can choose posture. And the posture is in knowing the value that you've got, that you're offering to this woman with the Down. We know that at minimum she's going to get an improved quality of life. And one of the things with Down syndrome kids is they have all these illnesses that come along with that. They're more susceptible, right? And so, you know, even if she gets improved quality of life, she's going to have pressure off her, you know. So you can come in with this authenticity that Rachel's talked about, combined with posture. What's her name, or give me a name of the mother?
Mother, her name is Michelle.
Yeah. So Michelle, look, I know, I can see how much pressure that you're under here. And, you know, I have seen again and again over 23 years, the benefits in children when they add this, and families, when they add this technology, you know, these supplements into the daily regime. I'll see if I can get some information. It is, the other child is named Michelle. If that, you know, they're proven safe in children around the world for the last 20 odd years. And time again, I've seen the benefit, and I'd love to see, you know, this gifting into your family. It's already open to, just like Rachel said, she's asked you.
Yeah.
So there is some, you could dig up a picture of Michelle and her transformation. That's out there somewhere. Maybe we can find it for you.
Oh, I found it. I found the books on the internet. There's, the cover.
You don't want to immerse this woman in a book. She doesn't have time.
I think, it's only was last Sunday that I spoke to her, and so I've got to try to reach out to her and find out just how much she does know, and go from there.
And the other thing you can ask, you can ask her, what is it that you would need to know to feel confident?
Okay.
You know, to feel this is on track, to add this into her diet.
Exactly.
Because that gives you a track to, you know, what is it that she needs, you know, what is important to her to understand to make that decision as a mother.
Yes.
The other thing you can do is, do you have a active leader in Manatech?
Oh, yes, for sure. It's Pauline Hancock and Judy Abbott.
Oh,
so
well, I know. I think Judy's on this call.
She probably is.
Then you bring in. You can say, you know, to Michelle. Michelle, I'm just you know, starting to have, I mean, I've been taking these products for 23 years. I'm 100% know the value in my life. I've seen it in hundreds of others. I have a colleague who's helped hundreds, if not thousands, of people
Oh, sure.
in using these products in their family. How about we have a chat with her together, and she can answer any of your questions and concerns. And then you
Yes,
can bring
that's
Judy or
good.
Pauline into that conversation by phone.
And just before Rachel says something, I just want to add, Gail, I've just sent you a recent video of Michelle. It was someone sent it to me, so I've sent it to you in Messenger. She's gone to university, but just have to caution that, you know, in Down syndrome, the range of abilities and disability is quite broad, right? So you can't
Yeah.
compare, even no matter what our biology is, you can't compare one person's results to another. But if they had a percentage improvement in their family situation by addressing it, and I would like to add that probably adding one of the reds and greens or something might assist her with her sweet cravings. You know, they can adjust what those massive cravings are, because some of them are stemmed in malnutrition. So that's
Yes,
it.
there's a lot of points to be tackled with the family. So especially just this one child. So I've written down a lot your recommendations. I really find it helpful. So I'll carry through with what you've suggested. Yeah.
And Gail, it's Rachel here. Just, you know, as Manatech associates, I call us trusted guides, advisors, and friends. So you are a trusted guide, advisor, and friend to that lady. And, you know, I love the numbers. So statistically, in Manatech, this was statistic was given 4 years ago at the conference, was there's a need for 5 to 12 exposures for an 80% conversion. So what that means is you need to be that trusted guide and friend, bringing information, bringing a 3-way call, bringing the booklet, sending the link Sharon's just given you, up to the between 5 and 8 connections and then between those numbers there's an 80% conversion, which is acceptance of the opportunity that you're actually presenting to them. So, you know, Diana beautifully says always, this is where I've learned it from her, is to have that permission to come alongside as a trusted guide and friend, and know that you're in for a journey with them, because you can't learn glyco nutrition overnight. So you do need the 5 to 12 exposures in to be that educator to people. So I just commend you in what you're doing and how you're going to walk alongside these people. And then with that journey, there will be conversion of sales, hopefully at a point that then will go on to benefit their bodies in what you're trying to do.
Okay, thank you so much. That's really good. Deal with the slamming door. All right, thanks.
Thanks, Gail. Thanks for jumping in there. There you go.
Well, it was
Might
accidental.
one more thing. Practice it. Scale.
Meant to
Practice
be.
it. Grab the team and practice.
Sorry, Sharon, you're breaking up, but I can hear you saying something.
You can't hear me, I know.
Well, just
Just that she should practice with her team what she's going to say. So get all
Yeah.
those notes, get a plan, then do it in one practice.
perfect.
Sorry, my internet. Apologies.
Yeah, thank you, Sharon. So Sharon's saying there, Gail, practice with your team. So hook up with Judy or Pauline, and Judy's a master communicator, and Pauline. So they might have additional or alternate ideas from what we've shared today, but then to do some practice with them of how to approach. Yeah, it's a great idea.
Okay, thank you so much.
I've got a scenario here that Michael and I have together.
Okay.
So,
Yep.
and what that is, we've got an acquaintance at church, and she's a young mum who's been given a bad diagnosis. And so now we feel hesitant to share Manatech because we're sort of lining up with everybody that's offering the snake oil solutions, you know,
Yeah.
and sometimes I feel I just want to run around and tell everybody before they get bad diagnosis is that if you ever get a bad diagnosis, I might come and speak to you about something. So I get that preliminary get in there, you know. So Sharon and Diana, what's your thoughts
Permission.
about, that permission to come but present a thing that will help, whereas everyone else is bringing the snake oil option. So how would you go about approaching someone with that bad diagnosis? And you can guess how to
What
spell it.
is her first name or her name?
Yeah, Sally.
Yeah. You know, because when people get a big diagnosis, I'll call it,
Yeah.
could be any big diagnosis.
Yes.
Often there's very well-meaning people offering them solutions, and it's overwhelming. So it's the first thing I might say to them.
Okay, yeah.
Sorry, what was her name again? I've gone
Sally.
Sally. So Sally, I've been hesitant to talk to you. Just authentic truth. I know, did she know that she has the big diagnosis? Yes. I'm sure you've been offered, lots of ideas from very well-meaning people. So I've been hesitant to talk to you, but it's on, I know it's on my heart, or it'd be wrong of me not to share something that I've had 20 odd years experience with, or whatever your X number of experience is, and seen it be of benefit. I'm wondering, would you be open, are you open to hearing of something that I believe could be foundational for your health at the moment?
Yeah, that's good.
And then I had this very scenario myself, Rachel, this last week, following up my customers as I do. And this particular lady, she's been on using the youth cream for years. Every month she buys the youth without fail. And then I just have been dotting in a bit of Nutriveris, and then she had a son wasn't well, and there's been some Immunostat at one time. It was the essential oils that we had, so that she just keeps buying the youth, and we get these other products. And so I don't follow her up in person too often, because she, she's fine. But I thought, no, it's time to talk to her. I was writing a text. I thought, no, it's time to talk to her. So rang, spoke to her, and discovered that her daughter had the big diagnosis at 12 weeks pregnant.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And this is 2 months down the track. So they're already been inundated with well-meaning suggestions and integrated in a bunch of complementary solutions to the medical approach. Doing my best to be compliant here. And so I went down exactly this track, and the door was only open about that wide, because
Okay, we can't lose Diana as well. Okay, I need both of you back. Are you frozen there too, Sharon?
Okay, I thought it was my internet. Can you hear me?
Yeah, and you're breaking up a little bit. So
I'm talking. Can you hear me?
I can piece it together. Yeah, I can see you too now. Okay.
Maybe they're taking down the Sunshine Coast. Well, I want to
Okay.
know what Diane was going to say.
We've lost it. But I just love her advice that she gave me, is that, I'm hesitant to come to you with this
She's
information
gone.
in relation to, I know you've probably got some ideas from others, but I felt on my heart not to mention, and I hope you're open to me to share, that something that's foundational to your health. And I also have the testimony of my husband's injury a number of years ago as well. So I probably have the credentials of that third party story to actually approach Sally. And because I'm so desperate to put this on her table, but I don't want to go, now she's finally now she's unwell, and now I feel hesitant to approach. So yeah, Diana does have a nice flow in how she does approach people.
Yeah. Can you hear me?
I can, yeah.
Okay, so the only thing I would add in there in that preamble that you're talking about, which is fantastic, you
Mhm.
know, and use my story, then ask permission.
Ask,
You
yes.
know, would you be open? I know it's overwhelming at this time, but I truly believe that we've got something that's unique that nobody else has. Would you be open to reviewing something?
Yeah. True.
Sorry,
Welcome
my
back,
internet
Diana.
dropped out.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yes,
We're
Diana.
still talking that same scenario.
Oh yeah, I'm so sorry. I don't even know what you heard. When both of you were frozen, I realized it was me. Not you.
Thanks. Thanks, Sue.
Good old
Sue's-
Australian internet. So Rachel has, Sue Price has a comment there that's helpful, if it's the
Yes.
same kind of.
Yes, so I'm not sure what you heard or didn't hear. What did you hear up to for me?
Foundational to your health, like overwhelming, that they're hesitant, they've had ideas from others. I did not want to mention it, that if they're open to something to review, that it's foundational to their health.
Yeah, and I was. Did you hear me sharing the story that I'd come across this week?
Oh yes, you did start with the
Yeah.
pregnant lady.
So same thing, but the door was only open like that
That's right.
much. Yeah, because they'd already been inundated with and made some decisions. But just like I was speaking with Gail, I held my posture about, you know, like I understand that you've got a lot already on board. But this is, you know, I have 23 years experience here, just like what I said to Gail, and this is worthy of your review. At least have a look. And then I did exactly what Sue Price has suggested. I've sent them a copy. You know, would you be open to reviewing some information about it, just so you understand?
Yeah.
And then interestingly, in that conversation, what they're going to do, this was the other point I wanted to make about that, was that because of the big diagnosis, they're getting the baby to about 30 to 34 weeks, and then they're going to bring it early so they can treat the mother.
Wow. Yeah.
So I already could tell from that scenario that baby's going to be preemie and not going to be breastfed.
Yeah.
And so I talked about, you know, I pointed that out. I said, oh, the baby's going to be preemie and I'm guessing she won't be able to breastfeed. Yeah, that's a problem. And then I talked about, and I said, well, our our mother's breast milk is rich in these glycans. It's absolutely essential. That's nature's design. That we have these glycans, the baby has these glycans right from the start, and this is no formula has these glycans in it, you know, and it's simple to add these glycans into every bottle. Well, she was completely engaged in that conversation. She was more interested at this point in the glycans for the baby than she was for the glycans for her daughter.
Wow.
So it was like, well, this is her higher need and higher interest at this point.
Yeah.
To have a look. And so I said, would you be open to some information about, you know, how they might benefit the baby? Oh, definitely. You know, that was such a strong.
Dan,
yeah.
Do you ground in her? Because one thing that to reflect on is that she's got a long-standing confidence in glycans for her skin, right?
Yep, I didn't go there actually. It's a good point. Next time I talk to her, I can reflect on that.
Yeah, just, you know, it's the same, you know, we need them for our skin,
Yeah.
for our immune system, for fully healthy developing infants in milk.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yep. Sorry, you're really breaking up, Sharon, sadly.
And you know,
Just wave at me if you can't hear me. I can't tell.
I
Yeah,
can
okay.
see in the chat there that Pauline's added posture, which we've talked about. and the feel, felt, found. And that's another tool in communication that you can actually use. And it's one of those things that you need to practice, which we've brought as important through this call, that you can connect with people and go, well, I know how you feel. I felt the same way, but here's what I found. And although that's what we call scripting, it's actually a way for you actually to do that coming alongside, asking the permission, but
Yeah.
that coming alongside people as well when you can relate to them at that level. So if you go to the Menentech Success System, there's training on the feel, felt, found scripting. And again, as I said, it does take the practice. And, we've got other trainings out there. You've all heard the FORM acronym. I always give credit where I've heard it from. It was Karen Dennis that I first heard the FORM acronym of family, occupation, recreation, or mission and message. And they're things that you can start those earlier conversations with people about. Today we've been talking about quite deep conversations, that we're moving along into more deep and detailed aspects of people's stories. But if you're still at the beginning of communicating with people and you're a bit shy about it, learn about the FORM acronym. Talk to your upline enroller or upline and mentor if you haven't heard it before. And they're great ways to start conversations about family, their jobs, occupation, recreation, what they like to do in their leisure time, and then their mission or message in life that they feel their purpose is. So there's some other tools. So thank you, Pauline, for popping that in the chat there. They're great tools.
Great point. Thank you, Rachel and Pauline. So is there anyone else? The scenario that they'd like support with?
Probably have time for one more.
One thing I want to do while we're waiting to see if anyone wants to put their hand up, one thing I wanted to highlight was the value at the moment of the TruePlenish Trio Pack, and listening out for opportunities to share that. Not only are you getting 3 TruePlenish for 2, you actually receive 185 points. So it's incredibly generous, special, that one. 185 points is the value of 3 TruePlenish, but people are only paying for 2. And so I think I've sold about 3 or 4 of those so far, just through follow-up conversations with customers. And they're not, one of them was weight loss this week. She's been on the products for her health, and she happens to mention her and her husband want to lose weight. And I say, she's struggling with that. And I always talk about low glycemic diet. The first step is to eat low glycemic. And then another option is to make sure that your breakfast is a protein breakfast. If you are eating breakfast, some people are doing the fasting thing until lunch, but breakfast needs to be a protein start. That helps with your metabolism and balancing your blood sugar, and you can relax into a highly nutritious, high protein, low glycemic meal with this TruePlenish shake. It's on special at the moment. You get 3 for the price of 2, and that was an easy addition to her monthly order, and an extra 185 points in my business. What was the other? The other was a customer, long-term customer, who is, again, got a long-term health situation, been on the health products, but she happened to mention, getting good meals was a challenge. So I recommended the TruePlenish, and she's added that to her order. And who was the other one? Oh, the other one is a customer who buys TruePlenish from time to time, and I was able to highlight there's a special on at the moment, and she grabbed it. So take advantage of it. The first point of that is make sure you're doing follow-up calls with your customers, and just like Rachel spoke there earlier, is you're coming beside them, you're being a friend, you're finding out, what's happening in their life. Most of my customers, I at least follow up once a month, and just find out what's happening in their life and what matters to them, and you just listening for those signs of a need. that you may be able to solve or
And-
provide us.
And that's so true, Diana, because another phrase in this industry is the fortune's in the follow-up, you know.
Yeah.
And that is so true in this industry. And I know sometimes I balk to pick up the phone and to do those follow-ups. But when things like in corporate Manatech come along, like there's a special, then that's actually a pivot point where you actually now have a good reason with correct intention to actually pick up the phone and dial and say, hey, look, we've got some product specials here that are going out. I didn't want you not to have an opportunity, you know. So that's where it is. And throughout Manatech, there's so many opportunities for you to actually pick up the phone. That might be one, you might note down the client's birthdays, their birthday or their Manatech anniversary, or, you know, GI Pro Balance is just on back order at the moment, so we can't get it. So there's another reason to pick up the phone and share something with them and start that conversation, building that relationship. And that's what Diana said. She actually can get to know them and hear the story. And I love Diana has, you know, rhythm in her business that she does connect primarily with her customers every month. And so if you're just a bit nervous picking up that phone, there's many reasons to pivot. And you can even pivot off today's Australasian Connect call. You could go, I was just on a call and this lady mentioned that we've got Manatech has this special and I didn't want you to miss out. You know, so there's many things that you can pivot off to actually take action in your business. And so if there's anybody out there on this call or listening to this recording that aren't a Manatech associate, you know, there's a brilliant opportunity here for just an investment of $49.95 to start your own business and have an online supplement store that you can share product with, and obviously face to face. And, you know, for that tiny investment, which is just a simple coin, they'll set up a beautiful website for you that you can work with. Plus, there's actually a management application now, we call it Penny, that'll actually help you control and identify follow-up calls, and your business activity is managed in this app. So for the investment of $49.95, you have a beautiful website to have an online presence with a supplement store built with Manatech products. Plus, you actually have a business management app that's given to you as well in order to run your own business from home. So it's just a no-brainer in my book. But if anybody's listening that's not involved, get in touch with the person that, you know, introduced you to this call and have that conversation with them, that, you know, you can actually have those car payments taken care of just by investing in yourself and investing in others' health through these stories that we've heard today. So yes, I know you girls could go on forever about the business opportunity of Manatech, but yeah, the fortune's in the follow-up and we're here to connect.
Great points, Rachel.
Yeah,
Excellent.
awesome.
Yeah, I think a good way to finish off, actually.
Yeah, I agree.
Is there anyone else that we can help? I think if you're having regular meetings, I'd recommend the conversation practice, or even if you're not in a regular meeting, you could get a buddy and someone else who you connected with in Manatech and practice conversations. Like it's normal, healthy and appropriate to do the practice before you know, you go out there in the real life and do it, and it help you relax, have that confidence, and have some words floating around in your mind that just come forward when you're in those real life situations. So you know, make it a priority if you're actively sharing the story of Manatech to do that practice.
Yeah, good.
So I'll leave it at that, Sharon.
Yeah, I agree. So that's perfect. Thank everyone for their contributions and partnership with this. It takes a village, and hopefully we'll get that presentation done this weekend. And I'll have to figure out my internet or be done completely. So thanks everyone. Have a great weekend and we'll see you next weekend. Thanks, Rachel.
Thanks everyone.
Thanks,
See ya.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
everybody's
We can.
sorry.
Thank you.
See ya.